Welcome to Powerless to Powerful with Angela Bennett, a show that brings a sassy mix of transformative advice on health, relationships, love, career, and mindset shifting, together with some fun and laughter. Powerless to Powerful with Angela Bennett begins now. So, welcome to Powerless to Powerful. My beautiful guest today, Ashley Snowball, is an incredible woman. So, Ashley Snowball, I know you, but maybe some of our listeners don't. So, please share with us a little bit about you and your journey and like how you and I connected and all the way from the other side of the world. Let's go, honey. The floor is yours.
Yes, I love it. Welcome. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you, and may you get what you need from this conversation. So, yes, I am Ashley Snowball, aka the Snowball EFekT. I go by Ash as of this last year, starting in February. I stepped into 2022 redefining myself. And just to rewind, about a decade ago, I was in a very, very disruptive path. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted. I was constantly trying to mold myself to fit in. So, really taking in other people's opinions and feeling like that defined me, and how other people saw me must be who I am. And that really left me in this space of so many emotions that I didn't even understand. And lacking that confidence, lacking self-esteem, self-worth, I didn't believe in myself. And so I was constantly seeking this external validation from men, from girls, and trying to fit in, and never felt I belonged. And that was a really rough place because I didn't know my value, and I was trying to find it in places that I could not truly get it. And so that really put me down a deep spiral. And I began to associate a better version of me when I would use substances. And, whether it was buying clothes to make me feel good, and it identified myself that way, and drinking alcohol or experimenting with other things. I wasn't huge into drugs, but I smoked a lot of marijuana. And not that it's a bad thing, it's a beautiful plant, but I was using it for the wrong reasons. And when I was 18 years old, I met a man that I fell in love with, and that was like my first true love. And I definitely cared what he thought of me. Like, he was the only person I really, truly probably cared about what he thought of me. And I remember, him asking me, I was struggling with myself. I was fresh out of, I went to prison for a weekend. I breached a probation I was on. I was in like a juvenile detention when I was younger, but then breached a probation and ended up in prison with, which was not very comfortable. And so when I got bailed out, I met him. And so through that journey, I was like trying to get myself back into some work and not finding anything that I really wanted to do. And he proposed
Sorry, that would have been so does that, do you have to disclose that on your job applications?
No, I mean, maybe in certain, I remember there was a job I was going after to help raise money for a charity. So there they wanted to, but at that time, thank God, somehow it didn't show up. So I was like really grateful, but there were certain things I was kind of worried about it ruining in the future, which it never did. It never got in the way. And yeah, so he proposed this opportunity for me to make some really good money having sex for money. And like, that was like when my world blew up. It was like, here's the man I love proposing this opportunity. And it crushed me. It's like, especially in this past pattern of seeing that men just constantly used me for, that physical sexual interaction and then would carry on. And from the person that you love the most, for them to see you that way was just, it really destroyed me inside. And so I ended up leaving him, but I ran away and pursued that in the standpoint of like, well, I might as well make some money if this is all men want from me. And kind of had that attitude of, like, well, fuck it then, right? Like, this is all that people see me to be worthy of, then maybe that's true. So I pursued that path for a little while, and it really, like, I didn't stay in it for very long. But when I eventually broke myself out of that cycle, I ended up in a very different cycle because I never understood and changed my mindset. I just changed my environment. And if you don't deal with the root cause, you're just going to end up in a similar situation. So I ended up in a very similar environment. Even though I didn't pursue the same thing, I was surrounded by that lifestyle. And in that journey, there came a lot of self-worth coming up, like reevaluating the way I went about it, comparing myself to how these women were going about it, just being in this state of curiosity again, but so emotionally damaged from that journey that I couldn't go back and do it again. And so fast forward a couple years, and I ended up having a near-death experience, which was 2016, the beginning, March 2016. And that was an opportunity for me to turn lemons into lemonade, because I knew that the common denominator in everything that I was experiencing was me. And that the fact that I didn't love myself, I didn't know my worth, I was constantly in this cycle of attracting people that treated me like I had no value, like I was not worthy of anything good. And that was a huge pivotal moment in my life. And like Les Brown says, if you fall, make sure to fall on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. And although my fall, I landed flat on my stomach, I still had the mentality of like, I'm like, everything's going to be okay. I am going to be okay. And I had a road to recovery that was looking like a forecast of a year in the hospital, 2.5 months. But that was huge for me, because I got time where my body was like, enough is enough. If you're not going to learn, I'm going to show you. Because our body speaks really profoundly to us when we don't listen. And because I didn't listen over and over again, bam, I needed to learn the hard way. And it was an opportunity for me to truly understand myself. And so I became obsessed with human behavior and understanding my mind and how all of my belief systems, core beliefs, limiting beliefs, thinking I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not worthy enough. What do I really have going for me? And looking at all that and how it impacted my thoughts, my emotions, my behaviors, the choices I was making, the actions I was taking, and seeing that that was creating my results. I became obsessed with, well, that if my thoughts and my emotions and my choices create my results, well, if I change them, maybe I'll get different results. And I profoundly changed my life in the course of a year. I began attracting different people. I was by literally a year to the exact date, I arrived back to Canada, my homeland, after a backpacking trip through Asia, which I had worked and like rebuilt my body for, and like knew that I wasn't supposed to be back home. Like my whole world had blown up, and I spent that whole year rehabilitating my mind, my heart, my body, and everything in between. And then by the end, coming to that end of the year, I went on a month-long backpack journey and arrived back, literally flying home. I was like, oh my God, this is the 1-year anniversary of my accident. And just like, it wasn't even planned that way. It just happened. Like, I didn't even know until I was literally on the way back to Canada. It's like, oh my God, what's the date? And I just knew that that was like wow, like another pivot, another shift, another like rebirth. And I just, through that journey, I ended up hearing about this program called Landmark. And it's a very masculine, mechanical, a lot of people, you know, have weird vibes with it, but I found it to be one of my most transformative years. I took course after course and went through most of their curriculum, and it literally changed my life. And that, like, I had set myself up from that because of other mentors and gurus that I was listening to, following to, that I had implemented for the year and a half prior. And that just sent me on this like journey. And I continued, and I became obsessed with personal growth and development, and just the way that I was shifting my world, shifting my life, shifting my experiences, and watching those around me learn from me. And I was like, okay, wow. And then that led me to just continue my travels. And then I ended up back in Canada, and then business started. 2019, I began my coaching career, and like really getting into, okay, I'm teaching these things. I'm not just sharing my journey. It's like, how can I teach other people to truly utilize everything I've been learning, this wisdom, because it's so powerful. If I'm learning to believe in myself and I'm going like night and day, like people don't even recognize the woman I am, would never even have believed the story I just shared with you guys, because it's like, what? Like you? What? Who? And it's like, yeah, like, well, that was my journey, and I needed that. And I learned to let go of shame. I learned to let go of blame. I learned to forgive myself, and I learned to forgive other people, because at the end of the day, we're all operating based on unconscious programming that we aren't even usually aware of. Until you become conscious and aware of it, most people are just operating out of this unconscious programming that's running in the background. Their thoughts, their emotions, the triggers, the things that have happened to them, they're operating out of how they've learned to behave and react to their environment. And so when I was able to understand that, it's like, oh, like they didn't mean to hurt me. They didn't mean to do these things. They maybe, it occurs to be a choice. It occurs to be a path they continue to take, but most people don't even understand why they behave the way they do. And so it gave me that ability to forgive others, allowed me to free up so much energy and pain and resentment residing in my body. And I actually watched myself transform, and I've become more youthful and literally shedding years of stored energy in my body. I've reversed age, and it's profound. Like, and I know other people in this realm have an understanding of these teachings, have also recognized that same, right? You find a lot of people on this journey, they are very youthful. They're very like glowing. They shine, radiate this beautiful energy that is just contagious. And it's because, like, when you can shed on an energetical level the experiences you've been through, because energy just, it doesn't it's only transferred, and if you don't properly release it, it just stores in the body. So the more that I've learned to get in tune with my body, especially through things like yoga and meditation and just really sitting with myself, I feel when I'm off, and I know that I can switch it, and I can work through it. I know why I'm reacting the way I'm reacting, and I can change that. And when you can learn to take control of that, you change the dynamic of your life. And it's not this like huge change all of a sudden, but it's these small little shifts, a new belief, a new action, a new thought, a new emotion, all send you in a completely different direction than where you were. And just the power of this work is life-changing. And, you know, it's like it doesn't mean that the problems go away. It doesn't mean that life becomes easier necessarily, but you learn to move through it with more ease, with more grace, with more confidence, more certainty in yourself. You don't stay in the pain as long, because it's just like, whoa, like, you have this higher awareness, and you come from a detached standpoint. Not all the time. I'm not going to say I don't get emotional and that I don't, you know, get stuck in the problem sometimes, but I learn to get out of it quicker, because I can pull myself out observe everything at all perspectives, that's when you can find different solutions. And so through this addiction of personal growth and development, like we all have little addictions, and we can have healthy ones, we can have bad ones, right? And it's just choose, right? And that's, I ended up in this incredible mastermind beginning mid 2021, Thinking End Results, with John Tallarico, facilitating Bob Proctor and Sandy Gallagher's program. And that's where you and I met. And like, we just kind of hit it off, like drawn to each other. And when we jumped on a call, it was like, whoa, sisters, like I feel you, I felt you, and I know you felt the same. And we just connected on such a deep level. And like, that's part of this journey, is like you meet some of your greatest friends, some of your greatest soul connections, some of, just people that you cherish and are just on that same wavelength. And, it's been a ride. It's been a journey. I'm not going to say it's been easy, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Oh my gosh, that was so powerful. Thank you. There was so much in all of that.
I know, like, Cash, where's this going? Stop, like, pause, breathe.
No, it was perfect. So I had to take some notes. TIR, Thinking Into Results, was just so powerful. And I will just give John Tallarico a plug just for a sec. One of the most beautiful men I've ever met in my life, who just cares so much about our journey. And even when he heard about our past, there was no judgment. All he wanted to do was make sure we didn't end up back in situations like that, and to push us forward. And it's so beautiful and such an honor to know that man and to be mentored by that man. Thank you for sharing your story, because, for so many reasons, but there's a lot of women who've found themselves in the sex industry for whatever reason, and fell into it in different ways. Some still won't talk about it, but and that's okay as well. But I thank you for your transparency, and I truly believe, like, that version of me, I honor her because she was brave enough to carry me through those days of using what she had in her hands to put a roof over her head and to do what she felt was necessary to get to the next stage. And whether that provided finances for food on the table, education, shopping, whatever it provided finances for, she was just so brave. And I love her, I embrace her, and I honor her, and I respect every single man and woman who is in that industry. You are so brave and accepted and valued and loved. One thing I do, there's a few things I relate to you with, and that near-death experience for you. I've had a couple of those myself. But the fact that you said our body speaks profoundly to us, and if we don't listen, it will make us listen. Yours ended almost abruptly and almost cost you your life. Mine ended in about 3 months in bed. Should have been 6 months, but the bills kept coming in, the world kept spinning. It's like I've got to get up, and I've got to, even though my body was in so much pain after it shut down from the trauma that I just pushed aside and ignored, your body speaks to you and it tells you, and it will let you know. And if you don't listen, it will shut down. It will cause you to rest and restore. And the longer we push through whatever stresses or whatever illnesses or emotional stuff that we're forcing ourselves to continue going and not taking that break, your body will catch up with you. Rest is productive. Rest is something that we need, and nurturing ourselves is so important. And a lot of stuff, trauma gets trapped in the body. And so if we're not dealing with things that we've been through, it does present itself in different ways, in illnesses and diseases and, shutting down and things like that, which you've obviously experienced and can relate to. Wow. So you've done all of this work. Tell us about where you're going now, where you're headed, because it's such a huge, it's just an antithesis of where you started off, complete opposite to where you were. Like you said, people would look at you and go, what? No, not you. Really? And you're also, I would call you a wordsmith. You have an incredible talent with words and poetry and bringing stories, experiences, emotions to life. Where are you going with all of that? What's going on in your life now?
I love that. Thank you so much. And I want to touch on a couple of things before I answer. So yes, I totally agree, and we're very grateful that you spoke to that. Is all those who have been through the sex industry, like, know you are worthy, you are loved, you are cherished. There is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong about what you chose. It just simply is. There is actually no good or bad. It is just about what is. Good and bad was created by man. And yes, there are laws, there are universal laws, and there are things we must abide by and work virtues to align with in this lifetime. But it's just a journey, and everyone is just doing their best, trying to get through the next day. A lot of people get caught in that survival, and that's all that is. And so I really love that you touched on that, because that version of me was needed, and it served a huge purpose, because it allows me to connect with people in a unique way that not everybody can. And I'm very grateful for that, because I can go into the hood, I could go into, the streets and into environments to shine light, because I can relate where others cannot. And it gives a better opportunity to build trust and connection with people that are in those places, and an ability for those who are wanting to change their reality and to strive for something greater. There are also women or men in that realm who are completely satisfied truly to be doing that work. There are people who are empowered by that and are providing a sexual healing, diving a little deeper than just the surface level, whatever, right? And so I don't knock that industry at all. I respect you wherever you're at in your journey, and that's your journey, and I'm not anyone to judge. Nobody should be judging anyone. We judge others because we're actually judging ourselves. So that, and the body does profoundly speak to us, yes. And there may be more categories, but I do know that your body will speak to you in many ways. But a lot of times people are classified in two different ways. Is a lot of people get sick very, very easily, and their body will continue to break down, and they will get sick on a regular, and catch their immune system's just so low, so shot, that illness shows up for them constantly. Mm-hmm. And for others, it is accidents. Their body I've had a few accidents. That was one of 3 major accidents that I've had. And every time it's when I go against my intuition, when I go against my true self, it's like my body will show me, you've got those signs very clearly. Why didn't you listen to what you knew to do? And so I just wanted to leave that there, and just, that could be a whole nother topic, but just be mindful, for those watching, be mindful. How does your body speak to you? Are you constantly getting sick, or are you constantly being injured? And listen to that, sit with that. What is going on in your life when those things are occurring? There's it doesn't just happen all of a sudden. It's your body has been speaking to you for a very long time. And so that's actually one thing that I do specialize in, is that emotional intelligence, to be able to hear the subtle signs before it gets too late. Because, and it's not going to change overnight, but it's learning to listen more and more. And the more you are aware, bless you, the more you are aware, the more that you can change the choices you're making and start listening to your body beforehand when it's speaking to you softly. And
so good.
As I
we
go
might have
into
to
your
do an episode. Sorry, we might have to do an episode 2 on that one.
Yeah, definitely, right? Yeah, so much goodness, right? Gotta find a way to fit it in. So yeah, to answer your question, where I'm at now, like, so just to lead into that, we all have a self-image. Dr. Maxwell Maltz, he studies psychocybernetics. He created this term, psychocybernetics, and he talks about, he was also a plastic surgeon, so he observed his clients, and he did a lot of research on the 2 types of people he would notice. Is that people would come in to get a fix of their nose, their lip, whatever it is that they wanted plastic surgery on. And when they had the surgery, coming out of that, their whole world changed. They all of a sudden felt confident, beautiful, certain of themselves, like everything changed in their lives. And then there was another demographic, another pool of people who nothing happened, nothing changed. It was as if they never had the surgery. The way they saw themselves was as if like nothing ever happened. And everyone else evidently saw the transformation in them, but they didn't. And it was because the image within their mind of how they saw themselves didn't change. And so that was like when I shared about my, when I left the sex industry, I ended up in another environment, and that was exactly the same, because nothing internally changed. And until I was able to shift the image within myself, and the more that I continue to, that is where the evolution and the transformative results happen. And so as I've been a coach, that image came up very strong. Like, who are you to coach? You're not a coach. Like, this is how people see you, as somebody who's like, I never stood on the corner of a street, but that's how I would see myself. When I would be at a bus stop, I would think that people thought that I was an escort. And that was not the case. Nobody probably ever assumed that. But that was a feeling of the way that I saw myself. And so it was, that would flash in my mind anytime I'm coaching, is like, who are you? Like, my confidence, I didn't believe in myself to be able to teach other people. It didn't matter how much my results very evidently showed the wisdom and power and value that I hold. That didn't matter, because I had to work at that image. And so the more that I started to change that image, the more that my confidence began to build and grow. And that certainty in myself is continuously evolving. The more that I fine tune that image, the more that I speak greatness into myself. And so I struggled with selling my services for a very long time, because I didn't see that people would buy it. Like, who would ever buy from me? They heard my story, they're not going to take me serious, right? I don't have a college degree, university degree, right? But I have lived experience, and I have 7-8 years of learning from the leading experts in my industry.
Yeah.
Like, the highest in my industry that I have studied under and learned, like, everything they've taught. Not everything they taught, but right? And
Yeah.
go ahead.
And I think the university of life is, I'm not discrediting, college universities and degrees and masters, and you guys are amazing. But the university of life, of hard knocks, like where you and I have come from and what we have had to do, like you're saying, changing that image, changing our mindset, changing everything we know to be true in one part of our lives, and changing all of that to become who we are today and to continually grow. So it's really interesting. A lot of the time, I can relate to what you're saying, because a lot of the time, if I'm ever struggling with money, my very first thing goes, just go and sell your body. And it's like, wait, what? Like it's amazing how our old patterns try and creep in to destroy us, I think, to knock us off track. But that's how, for me, it's my weakness. It's my default, I should say, of, oh, well, I know that I can do this. But it's, hang on a minute, you've got all this evidence over here, and you can do this so much better in alignment because of your self-worth and self-love and how far you've come. And you gotta really protect your mind where it can take you, because it can take you down that path for so long, is not believing that you're capable of coaching people with your program and people not wanting to buy it because of who you were. Like, who better to buy from than us?
Totally. Definitely. And I feel that way, in this last, especially in this last year, because my best friend and I, we started up our business together, and then life just got us to go on our own journeys and share in our own ways. And for me, traveling the world, because for me, culture, experience, life is how I learn. And when I throw myself into uncertainty, I thrive off of that, and I grow exponentially through that. And so this last year and a half has been, oh my God, it's been 2 years. 2 years, these last 2 years, I have learned to build my confidence and belief in myself on a whole new level. And it's just been the most beautiful journey of feeling like I've kicked all the crutches, and I've dove fully into what I do, because I live and breathe it. And it's a passion of mine and a gift that I've been given to follow this journey. And so for me, I really specialize in retreats. I'm a visionary. I'm a creator. I listen to my guidance and what I'm being directed. And I'm literally walking in a lot of faith, not always knowing what I'm doing half the time, but I'm listening to source. I'm listening to God, creator, speaking to me and telling me what I need to do, and following that. And my word of the year is quantum leaps. And I had a conversation today with a friend of mine who, her word of the year is follow. And that spoke to me as well. It's like I am following she said rabbi. And for me, it's like I'm following source, I'm following creator, and I'm making these quantum leaps because I'm living in faith and I'm walking in my purpose. And, if it comes, coming back out to Dominican this time around, I've been living here on and off this last year. And when I first came out here, I was sitting on a blanket of savings. And then just coming out here recently, I literally kicked the crutch of my other job, and I had fully jumped into my services. And I came here and I sunk for the first 2-3 days. And I literally reached the bottom of the ocean. And I have learned to step into my power on a deeper level. And I've attracted the most incredible places, the most incredible people, and I am thriving. And it's a journey. I won't say it's easy. Like most people would probably never do what I'm doing right now, but I believe in what I'm doing so much. And I believe in that I am held by Mother Earth and Father Sky, God. I am trusting that what I'm doing is right. And that sometimes means sacrificing. And that is what the journey of, Michael Jordan and Tony Robbins, these things were not documented or shown, but the results and the success is what's shown. And so people don't understand that there is a journey of sacrifice. There is a journey of, that we all have to go through to climb the ladder, to climb the mountain. And, and there's this quote that I saw, I saw again today, and it was Thomas Edison. And he says, "I have not failed 10,000 times. I've successfully found 10,000 reasons why it will not work." And that is what I feel so strongly, is that I am not failing. And it may look like failure to many people on the outside, but I am living my best life. And I am experiencing life and the world. I'm living on the edge, and the beauty of it. And the reason I can step to the edge of the volcano and not fall in, or maybe almost fall in, but I fall, and like, you have to fall in order to grow your wings and fly. And I feel like having that connection with myself and my body, I know when I'm going too far, and I know when to stop. I know when to listen, to switch lane. I know when to shift the plan. The goal's not changing. The plan just adjusts. And so, events and retreats is the way that I love to share this information, because I'm a wordsmith and I am a facilitator. I love to share through music. I love to speak. I love to storytell, and I love to rap. And so those are methods I love to use, but I love fun. I love play. I love adventure. And I like to incorporate all of that in the ability to elevate the mindset and the connection to your guidance system in a way that brings this level of teaching / fun. Because when we have fun, we learn so much better, and we retain the information so much better. And so, I'm currently residing in Dominican Republic, and I'm not necessarily like living here for full time, but I love traveling the world, and this is just where my journey has me right now, and it keeps pulling me back. And I still love Canada. My home is, my family, my friends. I have friends all over the world, but I'll always return to Canada in some regard. And yes, you're one of them, and I'll be making a visit to you soon sometime. So that's just where I'm at. And I have a retreat, multiple retreats coming up. And so that's kind of where I'm at in the journey.
Amazing. I'll just let you know, in May, I'll be hosting a conference. So there are women coming from America to come over here to Australia. So, honey, I hope you're on that list.
Oh, girl. Oh, girl, we're going to have to talk about that. Hey. Y'all heard that. Y'all heard that.
Yeah, that'd be so cool to actually meet in person. And I did write down before.
What a way to meet, too.
Right. Since I've known you, I think it's been about 3 years now, watching you grow, transition.
2021. It's coming up on 2 years, I think.
I think I met you in Power Voice with Les Brown.
No.
I reckon I met you before TIR, actually.
Yeah.
Because I heard your story with Les Brown. But anyway, I have just watched you train. I have seen the growth from when we first met to now. You're a completely different woman. I just wanted to tell you that, because you are glowing, and you are different, and you are more confident, and you are so much sure and are sure of your value that you bring, and your ability to bring others into that same transformation, if not better than your experience. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, thank you for seeing me. I appreciate you so much.
Oh, my honor. My pleasure. So there's one thing that you did mention before. You mentioned shame, blame, and forgiveness. And we are running out of time a little bit, and that is just such a major topic. Maybe that's episode 3. But is there anything you want to share on that, just quickly and briefly? Because, like, to me, Shame was huge in being able to confidently verbalize, I was a prostitute, I was an escort, I sold my body for money. And to not experience shame or even take on anyone else's judgment, but also forgiveness of myself, forgiveness of others. Like that is such a gift for us. And I think the two go so strongly hand in hand for releasing shame and coming into forgiveness or allowing forgiveness. What do you think about that?
I love that you're bringing that up. And it's funny because yesterday I saw a meme, and it said if Maya Angelou had died at the age of 20, she would have died a prostitute and a single mother. And there was somebody else in there that
Major goosebumps after when you said that. Sorry,
literally, that's how I felt, because I've always connected with Maya Angelou, but I actually don't even know that I actually knew she was a prostitute in the past. And so it just connected me even deeper. And it was like, yes, like that was so powerful for me, because we are not defined by our past. We are not defined by the things that we do, the choices we make, the actions we take.
Come on.
We are here to experience life. And whatever that means for each individual, that's what it means. And that's all that it is that it's an experience. And the more that we can understand that we are not the things we did, we release this attachment to identifying ourselves by something. And as simple as like when we identify ourselves as our feelings, like I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm hurt, I'm depressed, I'm bipolar, I'm this, I'm that. Anything we attach to I am, we are speaking as if that is us, but you're not. Like, are you going to tell me that every day you're angry? Because that's what I am is saying. I am angry is saying like every day you're angry. Like that's a part of you. But it's not. It's an emotion you're experiencing. And when you can shift I am to I feel hurt, I feel depressed, I have sold my body, I have exchanged a service in ways that I may not be proud of, but it releases this attachment to it, right? When we identify as I'm an alcoholic, well, most recovering alcoholics tell themselves, I am an alcoholic. I cannot have a drink. I'm a recovering alcoholic. But you are constantly speaking that forth, and everything you think, feel, and speak into existence today is going to be your tomorrow. And when you can recognize that you are projecting that into your tomorrow, you probably wouldn't want to think, feel, and speak the things you really are like. If you observe that, you may not even wish you thought, because the things that you're thinking are majority of them are like gonna drain you, gonna make you get into that depressed state, because who feels empowered saying those things?
Yeah,
exactly. Right. And so the more that we can detach from these ways of being, these ways of associating ourselves, right? Like sometimes I'm organized, sometimes I'm disorganized. I'm not any of which. Like I'm not either. I'm not organized and I'm not disorganized. I am how I am in that moment.
Yeah.
Right. And so recognizing that you can be organized and disorganized, it lifts this like weight, right?
Yeah.
And so the more that you let go of the past, of what you've been through, the more you're lifting these weights, the more that you speak into existence the things you want to create in your life, the more that you're going to see the transformation, the change. And so for me, recognizing that, you know, I used to get so caught up and worried that I wouldn't be able to meet a husband because he would be so ashamed to walk beside me, you know, knowing the things that I went through, things that I did. Oh, what are his friends and family going to say?
Yeah.
And I met somebody who I thought was the love of my life back in, I think it's 2020. And literally could have been, but he was so caught up in what his family would think about me. And normally I would have molded, I would have changed my business, I would have stopped speaking on my issues, because he would have been okay with it if I never spoke about it. He would have been okay with it if they kept the dirty laundry in the laundry basket and in the closet, hidden up on the top shelf where nobody ever knew. And in that moment, I'm like, I love you. And it broke my heart to choose to leave him. But I owned who I am in that moment. And I stepped into a new level of power, being like, I am not molding for anyone. I am not silencing my purpose. This is a gift of mine that I've been given. Speak to other people who need to hear that they are not alone, that they are not unworthy, they are not devalued for the things they've been through, but you are powerful for the things you've experienced. And if you choose to see that you are more capable and that you are not here to suffer and to experience ill life, that you are here to thrive, just like the plants, just like the people that are soaring in life. You too are given an equal opportunity. And although you may not be ecologically or economically, geometry, whatever these words are, I can't speak it right now, geographically, economically, if you feel like you were given a disadvantage because of where you were born, where you came from, the poverty you were in, know that it's strength for you to realize that this is not who you need to be. This does not have to be your story, but you can relate to a certain type of person that not everybody can. And when you start to own who you are, to accept the things you've done, go and shed the weight that you're carrying around. It's like you're all the trauma, all the poverty, all the experiences, all the shame, all the guilt, all the anger, you're putting in a suitcase and you're dragging that everywhere you go. Well, why don't you just let go of the suitcase?
Yeah, it's heavy, honey. It's heavy.
It's heavy. It's heavy. It's heavy, and we don't like heavy. We like light. We like light and fluffy and freedom and peace and ease. And although we need contrast to show us what we want, because when we see what we don't want, we know what we do want. And if you see a lot of what you don't want right now, that's okay. That's okay. It's an opportunity to reflect, well, what do I really want? If not having money and not knowing where your next meal is going to come from, if you are stuck in an industry you hate, what do you want? It's a choice. You can choose to leave, but the limitations, the excuses, the feelings and the guilt and the shame and what your parents are going to think, what your husband's going to think, what your friends are going to think, if you choose to go after what you want, girl, woman, king, queen, what you want is what should be at the top priority, because you are living your life, no one else. And when you let go and you accept what, you become free, and you will tap into your innate abilities, your God-given gifts, your truth on deeper levels than you can ever fathom.
Oof. Amen.
Ooh, I'll just leave that there.
Amen. Thank you for choosing you in that moment that broke your heart. I know those moments, and they're some of the toughest decisions you have to make, but your purpose is so big, and it's so big, And it's so powerful. Had you not chosen you in the moment, there would have been people who missed out who need to hear your story. It is so paramount that we are solid and unshakable in who we are and in our purpose and where we're headed. And I understand where you're coming from, where you think, will I ever be able to find someone who would love me for my past and be okay with it? Because we have a big past, but baby, our future is bigger. So my question more so is, if you're not strong enough to handle my past, well, baby, you are not strong enough to handle my future. That's not a question. But like coming from where we've come from, we need a man who is so strong in his and humble in his foundation of who he is and his relationship with God, that he is there praying for us, pushing us forward alongside us, not nervous of what we're going to say. You and I have both experienced that in our lives. And sorry, not sorry, that doesn't work anymore. You know, come with us or get left behind. So thank you for choosing you in that sliding doors moment, because really that's what it was.
It was liberating. It was the most liberating decision to make, was to choose me. And for me, it was like, if I attracted a man so beautiful like this, who doesn't fully accept me, I can only imagine what is coming for me. So it was a bittersweet, but blessed in that moment. It showed me what I can achieve and that I can achieve something greater. And I don't regret it. And, you know, it was a journey. It was like there had to be an emotional process I went through to surrender and trust and let that go. And underlying, I didn't realize it did shift a lot of things for me. And it did impact me on a subtle levels, but it also, I had the awareness to recognize that and to transform that, transmute that energy, and stand even more powerfully. You know, after it was like, I made this liberating decision, but it still impacted me. Okay, now I'm free of that. Whoa, even more exponential growth. And so, yeah, wherever you are on your journey, trust you're exactly where you need to be. And it's evolution. We're not going to be perfect, change, transformed in a day, but just to continue choosing you, to continue choosing what you want and following your heart and getting clear on who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right, I am, they're the two most powerful words. And we must become who we say we are. So choose your words so carefully. We have to wrap up. We're running out of time, unfortunately. But I'm just wondering, you are a part of a compilation book, which you can talk about, and how people can get in touch with you. And I'm just wondering if you want to wrap it up with a piece of your work. I don't know if you have any. I know that I just sprung that on you. So I don't know if you have something you'd like short that you would like to share with us. I'm sorry it has to be short, but we're running out of time.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, I don't know that I could find something and share it off the top of my head. Actually, maybe on my phone I do. So so I'm part of a book that was put together by a women's shelter in Barrie, Ontario, Canada. And it was a bunch of women who were survivors of trauma or abuse, domestic violence. And that was a story I had in my past. And so I was honored. I had done some work with the shelter. I had been someone who stayed there and then later got to go and actually provide some coaching there. And then from like full cycle, same shelter as well. And didn't expect that, but it did come about. And I was able to, be a part of this. So I shared about five pieces of my different poetry entries that I've written over the years. And so that's called Shelter Me, and it's on the barrieshelter.com website. It's in the shop section where you can purchase some items, and it's towards the very bottom. It's a book called Shelter Me. It's got a woman's arm I believe there's some vines wrapped around it. And it's like a woman's henna, like there's henna all over her arm. And it's just this beautiful, beautiful book. It's, multiple different women with their stories in there. And yeah, just really, really blessed.
That's
So
so beautiful.
there's a little piece I'll share really quickly. So
Okay.
she is recognized for the good she does everywhere she goes. She lights it up even when she doesn't know. Kindness rings true, it is her heart's note. As the moon moves tides, emotions rock the boat. It illuminates the way in the darkest of places, shines light on the truth, brings forth multiple faces. A guidance for many, showing all the phases. Learning compassion, she's trusting, she's pacing. Connection to the soul instead of invasion. Let go of what people think and what they are saying. Loving thyself, she's more captivating. Self-acceptance has developed. This time it's staying. Her confidence shining through. Her warrior is slaying. This version she stepped into, woo, opened her lungs, phew. Anyone who can accept, shoot. Elegance and grace, woo. The fire is ignited and she's bringing the crew. Woman empowerment now. Should be cooking up a stew, bringing back our power. It ain't out of the blue. Ancient wisdom comes forth. This ain't nothing new. Let the world tear us down to build up anew, to show our true power when caged up and abused. Nothing can stop us stronger when misused. We are stronger together in unity we fuse. Pain into power, her time is now. Let go of the past, everything up until now. Focused on the rise, don't care about how. Look how far you've come. You should be very proud. She, a woman, she is the crown. She, unstoppable, can't catch her now. She, fighting demons, they try to bring her down. She shakes them off and readdress that crown. She, her own worst critique. Enough is enough. She, her own limitation, the one who keeps her stuck. She compares herself to others, to her own detriment. Many, many blessings in the journey. I stopped it there. I don't think I actually finished that one, but that's just what came to share. So,
Oh, wow, that was so beautiful. Wow, thank you so much, Ashley Snowball. How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so Ashley_Snowball on Instagram, Ashley Snowball on Facebook. You can reach out to me, info at the Snowball EFekT. EFekT is spelled EFEKT, and then .com. If you want to email me, if that's easier for you. But socials is great. That would be the best way right now. Yeah. Awesome. Or LinkedIn, on LinkedIn.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor. I'm fighting tears. You are amazing and such a blessing to have in my life and on my show. And I just pray that whoever needs to hear this gets to hear this, but we need to do at least one more show, if not 2 or 3. Actually, maybe we can do a series.
I would love that. I actually made note of the 2 that you had already brought up. I was like, okay.
Come on.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I love you. Thank you so much. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I will see you soon.
Yes, blessings to everyone. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for having me. You are such a beautiful, powerful light, and I'm so grateful to know you.
Thank you. Follow Angela on Facebook and LinkedIn at Angela Bennett, on Instagram at AngieB_transformations, or visit angieb.com.au. And remember, your past does not define you, it refines you.